And we're back again with more news. We're doing news on Friday because it's news day on Friday. Friday news. Not to be confused with Freg's Day, which was also today. Game Awards were yesterday. We did a whole live Yap and React stream yesterday with gaming news. With the Game Awards. So we're gonna just run through the Game Awards stuff at the end of today, at the end of this video. Just like go through over all the big stuff quickly. But we're gonna do real news first. As usual, bigger news, smaller news, chat picks, and then do the Game Awards stuff. I hope that the scroll ticker at the top is correct. I did change it. Let's save it again just in case. Anyway, usual stuff that we're going through. Let's start with, as usual, the latest round of layoffs. The studio behind Life is Strange, Deck 9, has announced another round of layoffs. And they just had a round of layoffs, I believe, in earlier this year, February. So Deck 9, the studio behind recent Life is Strange games and the Expanse of Telltale series, has laid off an unspecified number of its staff. This is Tom Ivan, VGC. This was a statement on the studio's LinkedIn account, confirmed. Colorado US-based studio previously laid off 20% of its workforce in February. But recently, they said, today we are sad to share the news that we must say goodbye to some of our talented members. This was an extremely difficult decision and reflects the challenging times many companies, yada, 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 same shit that every company's been saying lately. Oh, it's the state of the industry, so on and so forth. Somehow it just keeps on happening every single week. Literally every single week. And this isn't even the only one for today. It's not. So that's super unfortunate. I don't think the latest Life is Strange did very well. I know a lot of people did play it. I don't think it reviewed very well, though. Off of that one, the People Can Fly studio is also laying off or suspending 120 employees. That's a lot of people. Now, I don't think they're not a full-on developer. So People Can Fly studio, they worked on, they had like the helping hand on Bulletstorm, Gears of War, Outriders, and a Square Enix game that was unannounced, Project Gemini. I think that they've been mentioning for forever. But it was a statement on the website that they were suspending or parting ways with more than 120 talented aviators. The company said it's further reducing its self-publishing plans by suspending Project Victoria, scaling down on its team on Project Bifrost, and restructuring some of its supporting teams. So those are the other projects they're working on that are not Project Gemini with Square Enix. This action became necessary as external market pressure persists beyond our forecast. The video game market is still evolving. We have to adjust where things are today. Again, same thing that everyone's saying. We are redoubling our efforts with new work for higher engagement and focusing on development of a single independent game. We believe in our team's games and their potential, and we remain extremely committed to continuing that journey, but we need to tailor our plans to our financial capacity. I don't know what that is. Tom Ivan, VGC. People Can Fly announced that it had canceled a co-op action RPG codenamed Project Dagger after several years of development. The company behind Painkiller, Bulletstorm, Gears of War, Judgment, and Outriders has been planning to self-publish Project Dagger after it was dropped by original publisher Take-Two Interactive in 2022. And they also laid off 30 people working on the Project Gemini, looks like. Kind of in that same boat, there was an announcement from the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League people. I think it was on their official website. This is Tom Ivan again, VGC. But Rocksteady confirmed that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's current season will be its last. They announced on Tuesday. No, they didn't announce it. They announced it on Monday. Yeah, Monday. The Tuesday. They also released a offline mode, so players can play offline now. But season 4 will finish up with episode 8, which is scheduled to release in January 2025, and that will serve as the last seasonal episode for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. While season 4 episode 8 will mark the final battle against Brainiac, all online features will continue to be available, so you'll still be able to enjoy co-op with friends as well as previous seasonal episodic content. You'll also have the option to play the game via the new offline mode, which allows access to the main story campaign and all post-launch seasonal gameplay content without an internal internet connection. So this game actually went longer than I expected, but it's not unexpected for it to cancel any new content. It was on sale for like $5 or something recently. But yeah, there was, again, poor reviews on this one. A very hollow game that was just banking on IP that not enough people cared about to keep it going. But it's unfortunate. That means most likely we'll see some job losses in this studio coming soon because they'll have no content to make, right? And then speaking about the state of the industry, there was an interview from Michael Ansel on a French website. I don't know how to pronounce this, but I'll link both. This is the link to the original interview. I can't read it, but some people might be able to. Yep, there it is again. And then this is the VGC article from Chris Scullion, basically summarizing it. But Michael Ansel claims Beyond Good and Evil 2 development hindered by problems between managers. So the sequel was announced in 2008, and there was a trailer for it. I don't know if anyone remembers it. E3 2018, there was a cinematic trailer, but it was announced in 2008. So 10 years later, there was a cinematic trailer. A revival in 2017. There's been no sign of release anytime soon. Ansel left Ubisoft in 2020. On some projects, we set ourselves huge challenges and take on teams with passion, but without knowing how long and complex the road ahead will be. Passion is a fabulous energy, but it can also lead to clashes between enthusiasts. On Beyond Good and Evil 2, for example, there were too many problems between managers. The art director wanted to redo everything over and over again. The game director wanted to make a generated dungeon game, and I was dreaming of a space adventure. We simply couldn't agree, and the game director took the project in other directions. Goes on to say, where is it? At the end of the day, it's all a case of passionate managers not getting along. I believe that some time ago, these people were dismissed, and the project found a certain balance with new managers. These management problems are, of course, very damaging for the teams. All this goes to show that it's not an easy job. Lots of egos, lots at stake, with clearly room for improvement in terms of human management. So there was an update in 2020 that Beyond Good and Evil 2 was coming along very well because people were asking for an update. But again, it's been 16 years since it was originally announced. 16 years and 4 years since they said it was coming along fine. And this is the CG trailer that they put out. Again, in E3 2018. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but it looked pretty sick, even for the time. Like, this looks good for now. Like, if this came out now, it would look pretty good. There was that big pig guy. I don't know if anyone remembers this pig guy. I remember it. This was so long ago. There was Hog. We'll fix the audio thing after news. There was a lot of Hog. And further down the line in the interview, same interview, they were also talking about, or he was also talking about how Ubisoft specifically handled the game Wild, claiming that it was a real scandal. This is the same interview from that same website. This is Chris Scullion, VGC on this one. So the Wild was a survival game which was announced in 2014. It was set to be a PS4 exclusive, to be published by Sony, and developed by Ansel's newly formed indie developer Wild Sheep Studio. But he left in 2020 because he was burned out by everything, and there was a going back and forth between management, and also, what was the thing about the sexual misconduct? Yeah, so the game's real problem started when the game was handed over to Ubisoft Paris and taken over by Tommy Francois, who ended up leaving the company after being accused of sexual misconduct. He said it was during this period that I burned out, and unfortunately the game fell into hands of Ubisoft's editorial department in Paris, which was itself in chaos. I was no longer there to defend the game, which was literally crushed by people in this department who were asking for all sorts of changes without actually playing the game. A real scandal. After 2 years of wandering, the game was abandoned, and the pretext that it no longer corresponded to the initial game. So it was in 2018, they were working on a PS5 version, it said, that slowed everything down. And in that time frame, just everything went to shit between Sony and Ubisoft. And this was when was this trailer released? 10 years ago. So 2014. Survival crafting looks like on here. The one thing I didn't remember anything until the Mudman. Until we got to the end with the lady in the tree. I did remember this. I had a vague memory of this. But yeah. This game, I guess, never came out. Which is unfortunate. Again, these studios love to have these execs fighting over everything and ruining stuff. We'll see if maybe Beyond Good and Evil 2 actually has an update soon. Speaking of studios and stuff happening between them, Sony, we talked about last week, trying to buy FromSoft, but not directly. trying to buy Kadokawa, which is FromSoft's parent company. Apparently, according to this, some of the employees at Kadokawa want the buyout to happen because they don't like the current leadership. So a lot of people are complaining that they don't want it to happen, but then there was an interview with, who is this? Takahiro Suzuki had some comments about it, saying the people who works there, saying the people around me are thrilled at the prospect of an acquisition by Sony. That's because there was a certain number of employees who are dissatisfied with the Natsuno administration, which didn't even bother to hold a press conference after people's personal information was leaked in the cyber attack. They expect that if Sony were to acquire the company, they would get rid of the president first. So they're excited for that because they want a change in leadership at the company. By the way, this is Amber V in Automaton. But it seems that Natsuno's sluggish response during the crisis has caused significant dissatisfaction among Kadokawa's employees to the point of his potential dismissal, fueling positive sentiment towards Sony's acquisition. So apparently a lot of employees want this to happen. And until recently, Sony had not confirmed, but Sony eventually did confirm that this was happening because they didn't want to mention it. I don't know why. This is Jordan Midler, VGC. But Sony did confirm that they were talking to Kadokawa. It is true that we have made an initial statement of intent. We would appreciate it if you would allow us to refrain from further comment. That's it. So they confirmed that they're talking to them, but don't want to talk about anything else about it. So we'll see what happens, because like, if somehow they can get rid of management before this happens, maybe they will refuse being bought out. But if the change in management is the only way, or if the buyout is the only way the change of management happens, that it's probably going to go through. And then FromSoft becomes a Sony company, which is unfortunate, but these things have been happening left and right lately, right? So that's basically it for the bigger news. Again, we're going to go over the Game Awards stuff, the big stuff later on at the end, like even after the chat picks. So we're going to move on to a couple small news things happening. So the director of Marvel Rivals kind of shitting on Concord, not directly, but like just like trying to explain why it didn't do well. This is Video Gamer. This is Talal Musa with an interview with the director from Marvel Rivals. What's his name? Thaddeus Sasser. When asking about Concord, they argued that Concord didn't have enough unique value to attract people from Overwatch or similar games. They said there's a switching cost. The director said, I've already invested in Overwatch. I've got 15 skins for Pharah. I'm not going anywhere. As a game developer, you're always worried until the audience has responded. The truth is that I don't think anybody can accurately predict this or the game industry would be radically different today. There's a lot of games that come out and then people are like, it's going to do well, and then it flops. Or people come out and go, it's going to flop, and it succeeds amazingly. So I think it's really hard to tell ahead of time. You're always worried about that. The trick is that you need to have that reason that people want to come and play your game, and I think Marvel Rivals does that exactly with the superhero. I don't know about you, but when I heard the concept of the game, I was like, oh my god, I want to be Storm in a game. I want to be Doctor Strange in a game. I want to be those heroes in the game. That sounds awesome. And of course, my mind immediately leapt to all these cool possibilities you could have with that. That's what I think will pull people in as well, too. If you've done your jobs well, they'll love what you play, and then they'll want to play some more. So they're basically saying Concord, not only because it wasn't free, because Marvel Rivals is free to play. You can just play it. And I think it's cross-play as well. So that, plus it's Marvel, which is one of the biggest IPs out there right now, is why people are playing that game and not Concord, because Concord didn't really show anything innovative. Which, again, you can blame that on the classic thing, the same thing with movies, where everyone's always like, oh, everything's coming out. It's either like a remake or a sequel. But those are the things that are making money, right? Someone puts out something that's fairly original and no one goes to watch it. I learned of a movie that came out days ago. I learned about a movie. It's called Night Bitch. The movie's called Night Bitch. Hadn't heard a single peep about it until it was already out. That movie looks awesome. If you haven't seen the trailer for Night Bitch, go watch the trailer. It's nuts. But it's another thing where it's like, where's the promotion for that? It's original idea IP. This stuff just doesn't sell as well sometimes. Same thing with, like, look at that. Helldivers 2, right? It's a sequel. It's making bank. But then you also still need to do it right, because Marvel Rivals is fun to play at the end of the day. We've been playing a lot of it. Feels good to play most of the characters. There's a little bit of a big gap between the types of characters, but like Suicide Squad's not doing great. You know, but it's a different type of game, but like the IP alone can't always just handle. The game also needs to be pretty good. And then, so yeah, Concord again is just completely gone now. And I think I don't know if the episode for Concord came out yet. I know the secret level show did start. I don't know if that episode came out yet. I'm gonna wait for all the episodes to fully come out to watch that. Anyway, next story. Pokemon Pal World is removing balls? Question mark. So it looks like a new update in Pal World. This is Matt Wales, Eurogamer. They're not removing all the balls, but you know, we all know Pal World and Nintendo are fighting right now, and they are removing the specific mechanic where you summon your pal by throwing a ball in front of you. Now when you summon your pal, they just appear next to you, according to this. This is patch notes recently. Latest update means it's no longer possible to summon a captured creature to a specific spot by aiming and throwing a pal sphere. Instead, pals are now summoned directly next to players when pal spheres are held out. Additionally, the UI reticle is now only displayed while aiming. Although Pocket Pair has yet to provide a reason for the changes, it's notable the updates arrive amid the studio's ongoing legal battle with Nintendo and the Pokemon Company. I wonder why they had to take it out. It's probably one of those very specific mechanics that Nintendo and Pokemon are saying are copyright. So they took it out. So now, unfortunately, Pal World has less balls, and that's sad for everyone involved. Next, there was an article on Bloomberg that we can't read, that we obviously are unable to read, but I'll link it anyway. This was originally Jason Schreier, Bloomberg, but the VGC article summarizes, as usual. This is Tom Ivan. So there's just reports of some developers and publishers trying to hold off on announcing dates for their games because they're waiting on a set date for GTA 6. Where does it say? So they're scheduled for early next year. And checked as previously announced fall next year. I lied, they pushed it again. They're going for fall next year. And they're saying that they're ready for that. They're still good for that. But other publishers are waiting as long as possible to commit their release dates for next fall. They want to see if GTA 6 will make its deadline or be delayed until 2026, with the goal being to put significant distance between the release of their own games and Rockstar's, it claims. Take-Two has itself said it plans on avoiding clashes for its biggest titles, which also includes next year's Borderlands 4. The CEO told Variety, "I think it's safe to say that we wouldn't and no one would stack up huge releases unnecessarily." So everyone's a little afraid of thick-ass GTA 6 coming out, supposedly, right now, late 2025. Which means Summer Game Fest is when we'll see our next big update for GTA. Again, months away, but that's most likely when we'll see it. If it does get delayed, it'll probably be announced after the next update at Summer Games Fest. But that's pretty funny. But it's like, it makes sense, right? You don't want to like release Borderlands and GTA. Like no game is going to outperform GTA 6 when it comes out. It's just not possible. And that's it for the regular news stories. We're going to go on to chat picks now. First one, a story about how basically the pandemic fucked the games industry. Andrew King, this is The Gamer. So it's all about explaining what's going on in the current atmosphere of games, X-Defiant, Concord, Suicide Squad, but then it goes how the pandemic skewed multiplayer expectations. It goes on to explain how because of the pandemic, everyone was playing things like Animal Crossing, all these new multiplayer games. Warzone was popping off pretty hard, Valorant, Fall Guys, Phasmo, Valheim, all these games that did really well during the pandemic, and then trying to get emulated later on, fucking Among Us. So the thing is, so studios at the time, again, were seeing this happen, and so they're like, hey, we should do something like that. So then if they start to do the thing that they're seeing works at the time, when it was already happening. So they're already behind the eight ball. We've talked about this before, then they're already behind the eight ball. So they start making the game during the pandemic, which means it doesn't get released until now, until the last year or two, if they're lucky. Some games are still in development, right? So that means it's not the same audience anymore, right? Because it's years later. and people are now out and about. Whether or not they should be is a different story, different conversation. But people are now out and about, and they're doing stuff in the world. So way less people are at home playing multiplayer games. So obviously, it's going to have an effect on all the new multiplayer games all these studios are working on. Again, Concord, X-Defiant, all these things. So it's just reiterating all that stuff where it's like these people should have known better. And they didn't. And they still don't. We'll see what Avowed looks like. Next story. There was some tests with the Indiana Jones game with the NVIDIA 8GB cards, which didn't meet the benchmarks I think that they were going for or saying that they could perform at. This is Jacob Roach Digital Trends proves NVIDIA wrong about 8GB GPUs. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is proof. Despite being a game that's sponsored by NVIDIA due to its use of full ray tracing, which is set to arrive on December 9th, multiple of NVIDIA's best graphics cards struggle to maintain a playable frame rate in the game that largely comes down to VRAM. So they tested a large number of GPUs. Any GPU packing less than 12 gigabytes of VRAM couldn't even maintain 30 frames per second in the game at its highest graphics settings. That led to some wild comparisons, as you see in the chart below. Intel Arc A770, for example, which is a budget-focused 1080p graphics card, beats the RTX 3080, which means that's a better card than mine. I think mine's a 12 gigabyte RAM though, which is the 4K champion when it launched. Oh, it's 10. Yeah, the 770 has 16 gigabytes of VRAM, while the 3080 has 10. So we've got the 4090 at the top, 4080 Super, 7900X, 4070 Ti Super, 7900 XT, oh, XTX, and then XT, 70 Super. So all the way at the bottom, you see the 30 series. Whew. FPS average of on a 4060, even a 4060 is 17 average frames per second at 2K resolution at 1440p. That's insane, actually. 30 frames with the 3080. That's actually pretty wild. Yeah, the 770 beat it by 10 frames, which is still not great. It's still not great. There should be no Intel graphics card better than NVIDIA or AMD. So that's pretty wild. It's particularly problematic at 1080p, where the options for high VRAM capacity are few and far between. As you can see in the benchmarks below, even the last gen RX 6700 XT can manage 60 FPS at 1080, but NVIDIA's RTX 4060, 4060 Ti, 3080, and 3060 Ti can barely muster 30 frames per second. With ray tracing at 1080, the 4060 is at the bottom, or the 3060 Ti is at the bottom at the average, 4060 is at the bottom for 1% percentile. But the 4060s right there, they're basically tied, which is pretty nuts. There's no NVIDIA card that they tested here hit above 60 frames, which is pretty nuts. Anyway, so that's pretty shitty and pretty obnoxious. We'll see what happens when the 5,000 cards get announced next year. Next story from Chat Picks. Bungie hires fans to save money? Question mark. I didn't get the chance to fully read this one, so we're going to skim through it real fast. Zuhad Ali on thegamepost.com. Former Bungie chief legal officer Don McGowan reveals that the studio hired fans to save money and discusses unionization efforts, layoffs, and internal tensions. Whereas, according to McGowan, Bungie often leveraged its fans' passion for its game as a cost-saving strategy. The studio hiring approach, he explained, including targeting dedicated players who would accept lower wages simply for the chance to work on something they loved. Wild. With gaming companies, one of the things that they could get away with is low pay because you're working on a game you love, and we totally took advantage of that at Bungie. We hired fans because fans would work for less. That's insane. When I came over from Pokemon to Bungie, about 1 in 3 people asked me, how much of a pay cut are they making you take? You don't want that effing reputation. But when you only hire fans, you can get away with that. So that's pretty shitty. And then you have stuff like Concord that happened. Great. Hey, Bungie, great job. I wonder when this started. If it was like after the PlayStation sale, or it's been going on for the whole time. But that's pretty wild. And it's not, honestly, not surprising at all for the industry. The last Chat Pick story, we're just gonna go ahead and watch a little trailer from a game that was announced right before the Game Awards. And this little game is called Ultimate Cheap Raccoon trailer. We're gonna watch this little trailer here. So, a new chicken horse, but it's sheep raccoon or raccoon sheep, whatever. It's bikes. It's bikes. You make traps for bikes, like trials, but you're playing against each other. Look how fun this looks. This looks so fun. You get to go Wii. I wish they kept the same exact art style, but it's fine. It's whatever. Super jump. Look at him. Look at him go. This looks like so much fun. He landed on his head. Oh, he pooped out cheese. Yeah, I'm really missing the original art style. Oh, that was so cool. Oh, he got zapped. That was a television zapping. Whoa. Ultimate Sheep Raccoon. Wishlist now on Steam. Is there a date yet? I don't know if we have a date for this. But hell yeah. Can't wait to play that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's it for news for the most part. We're going to now blast through the big stuff from Game Awards just to go over it. Again, we did have the live yap and react yesterday during the Game Awards, but today we're just going to, because we yapped about it a lot yesterday. So we're going to go over the list here. We're not going to go into anything specific for the most part. Starting at the bottom, going to the top. First, Berserker, March 2025 release date. We're going to, hold on, this is the VGC list from Chris Scullion, highlighting all the big stuff. Helldivers 2 major update now, and the new controller, which looks sick. I really wish I could get that new Helldivers 2 fucking controller. It looks so awesome. Squid Games game, Midnight Murder Club coming to PS5. Dying Light, The Beast will release next year. That one looked really good. No release date for Sheep Raccoon. Okay. Steel Paws. Oh, is that cat thing, right? That weird cat mobile game? No, it's this one. It's not. The weird cat one I did not like. It looked AI. This is Steel Paws. Robot cats. The new Pac-Man game, which I think ties into the secret level show. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound looks pretty sick. Thick as Thieves. This one didn't look great. They didn't really show much. It's all CG, and it didn't look the best. It's supposed to be like everyone drops in, and you have to, the first person to steal the thing and leave with the thing wins. But then, like, how do you, like, it's just gonna become, I foresee it's just gonna become a thing where, like, everyone drops in, and then they just wait for one person to steal the thing, and then they just chase you. Right? Because why would you put in the work to actually go steal the thing when you just wait for them to leave and you go get them? Which makes sense. The Sifu Studio Slow Clap released a trailer for their soccer game, which was Rematch. Everyone's calling this FIFU, which is pretty funny. But it's pretty cool. They went from a fighting game, which won a lot of high reviews, to a 5v5 soccer game. That's like Rocket League without the cars. Witcher 4 unveiled trailer we saw. Elden Ring Night Rain, no one had any idea where that came from, but co-op, either 1 or 3 people. I think they said you cannot play with two people, but it's a standalone game. Looks a lot of fun. A lot of characters from other games like Dark Souls 3 are in it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming to PC. Ico and Shadow of the Colossus creator Fumito Ueda reveals his next game, Project Robot. That was a really cool trailer. Split Fiction looks fucking awesome. I can't wait to play Split Fiction. Outer Worlds 2 debuted, which was awesome. What a great trailer that was. Steel Hunters was the mecha shooter. Borderlands 4 trailer, which looked okay. The Virtua Fighter was nuts. Project Sentry looked pretty good. We didn't really see much of that though. It was the dude walking down the like 1917 like Japan like alleyway and like slitting everybody. Turok, a new Turok Origins. We joked like right before they said it was Turok that it's like, imagine it was Turok, and it was Turok. Warframe 1999 is out this week. Onimusha was announced, which was insane. Way of the Sword. What an insane announcement that was. People have been like screaming for an Onimusha sequel for forever. Stage Fright from the Overcooked Studios looks pretty good. It's kind of like Split Fiction, but with Overcooked. Last of Us Part 2 coming to PC. Who cares? Sonic Racing World was announced. Mafia Old Country trailer would look pretty sick. A little too modern for it to be in like the early 1900s again. We'll see how it plays. Sequel to Okami. Naughty Dog put out a trailer for their next game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Project, but Profit, I mean. We'll see if it turns out to be another Beyond Good and Evil, right? Because they put out a really cool CG trailer, and then we don't see it for like 8 years. So who knows when this game is going to come out, or if it even does come out. This could be a 2029 game for all we know. And then last but not least, game of the year goes to Astrobot. Astrobot won a ton of games. Let me get the full list of awards. We've got Best Esports Team T1, Esports Athlete Faker, Esports Game League of Legends, Content Creator of the Year Queso, Most Anticipated Game GTA 6. Who would have thunk? Best Adaptation Fallout. Hell yeah. Best Multiplayer Game Helldivers 2. Let's fucking go. Beat out COD and Mario Party. Best Sports Racing Game EA Sports FC. Of course, FIFA's gonna win that almost every time. Sim Strategy was Frostpunk. That was a little bit of a surprise. I really thought it was going to be Manor Lords. Family Game, Astrobot. Again, Astrobot just like winning almost everything that it was in. Best Fighting Game was Tekken 8. Not surprising. I don't think Dragon Ball did as well as Tekken 8. RPG was Metaphor Refantasio, which, again, not surprising. That game did so well. Best Action Adventure, Astrobot. This was a category where it is a little bit surprising, because I feel like that could have went to Star Wars or Prince of Persia. But then, like, Astrobot, again, this is another game that's just going nuts with numbers and reviews. Best Action Game, Black Myth Wukong. We haven't played that, so we probably should. Beat out COD and Helldivers. VR AR game, Batman Arkham Shadow. It's like the only game that they've been promoting on VR lately. Best mobile game, Balatro. I thought Pokemon TCG would have that, but Balatro is just apparently the best game ever in terms of like a game made by one dude. Best debut indie game, Balatro. Best independent game, Balatro. Best community support, Baldur's Gate 3. Like that a lot. A lot of people are saying Helldivers. I mean, I would have liked Helldivers to win again. A lot of people are saying Fortnite, but like the amount, like how big Baldur's Gate is in a game itself, and for everything that they've added to it so far, being a relatively new game too. Like, because like No Man's Sky, Fortnite, they've been doing this. Final Fantasy, they've been doing this for a while. Each one of those, I think, have won this category in the past few years. Who cares? Give it to Baldur's Gate. Best ongoing game, Helldivers 2. Let's go. Same thing. I'm sure Fortnite has won this. Final Fantasy has won this. Destiny has won this. Diablo 4 would be the only other one, but unfortunately, Diablo 4 likes to charge way too much money for everything, right? That's Blizzard for you. Helldivers 2, it's all relatively like normal pricing for everything. Games for Impact, Neva. Taryn was all about that. Accessibility, Prince of Persia. Best Performance, Senua Saga Hellblade. I called that one because that Hellblade like is just insane with performance capture. Audio design, Hellblade 2 again. Score and music, Final Fantasy Rebirth, pretty sick. Stellar Blade or Metaphor could have won that pretty easily as well. Art direction was Metaphor. Pretty cool. I like that a lot. I think Elden Ring won last time. But speaking of Elden Ring, like they showed the Night Rain, right? So if they continue with the remakes and DLC being qualified to be nominated, it's possible that we might see Elden Ring 3 years in a row in Game of the Year. Right? Best narrative, Metaphor. Best game direction, Astrobot. We have to play Astrobot soon. We really have to get to that. And then Game of the Year, Astrobot, beating out Balatro, Black Myth Wukong, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy, Metaphor. I would say that Game of the Year really was going to be Astrobot, Metaphor, or Black Myth Wukong. I don't really think Balatro, Final Fantasy, or Elden Ring had that much of a chance, realistically at least. But that's it for news for today. Again, it actually was slightly shorter than usual. Thank you everyone that hung out during news. That's everything that we're going to go over. Not a lot of news. Everyone was focused on the Game Awards, which happened yesterday. Hopefully we see all the, like, that was a really, really good Game Awards. If you haven't seen the Game Awards and you're interested in the Game Awards at all, this might have been one of the top Game Awards. I think, no, it was easily the best Game Awards ever. It was the 10th anniversary. They pulled out all the stops. They had Muppets. Insane. They had Muppets at the Game Awards. They had Harrison Ford at the Game Awards. They had Khalid at the Game Awards. They had Snoop Dogg at the Game Awards. They had 21 Pilots at the Game Awards. They had a lot. Jeff Keighley really turned it up. There was an insane amount, like almost all of the big reveals were not leaked ahead of time, which was pretty nuts. Like a lot of that stuff was 100% shown for the first time, which was like unheard of. Like, how did they keep the Onimusha, the Okami, the Naughty Dog game, the space one, I forgot what it's called already. How did they keep all that secret for so long? It's insane. But that's where we're going to end it for today. We're going to move on to some Star Wars for a little bit, and then we're going to go on to party for the rest of the night. That's going to be it for this week.